Here we are back again. Welcome to Happiness and Balance. Life balance and happiness philosophy, a journey to understanding balance, following your heart and finding true fulfillment in life. Following your heart, finding balance and true happiness. So, what else have we got? General strategy is to get from imbalance to a place of balance. Oftentimes, we don't quite understand how important the principle of balance really is because we only realize it when we're out of balance, in the same way as people sacrifice their entire health to make it in business and then they spend all of their money to gain back their health because we don't realize how important that is. While we have it, while everything goes well, it just becomes a problem when it becomes a problem, and then it becomes a huge problem, doesn't it? So imbalances are usually being caused by deficiencies in the natural process, forcing outcomes, resistance to what is, and mental conditioning that's blocking the flow. Our intuition guides us towards what's right and true for us. We all know what is right for us inside of ourselves, and our intuition gives out a very visceral, a body-driven response towards what's right for us. It takes all of these different factors into consideration, which are much more than just our linear mind ever could take into consideration. And so with that, we get into balance. We let the process happen, we get out of the way, we follow our passion naturally, and we dissolve the conditioning. So the key practices for balance are finding out the core wound, following the heart, and natural healing. Well, what does that mean? Following your heart means that it is not just a nice to have to follow your heart, like some people do and some people don't. It will have real repercussions for you. It will have real health implications for you if you suppress the natural tendencies and the natural inclinations of your systems because of fear. And so the action to not follow your heart and the decision to not follow your heart has to be based on fear, because it is something that you actually naturally would feel inclined to. But then there are certain fears and certain concerns of why you can't do that. And when that's in a position when you already have children and you feel you cannot pursue the life of your dreams, that's the only real excuse. But then you gotta take it and make like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes per day and build it over the next 10 to 15 years. Then it will take time. When you're busy all day, some days you're going to be exhausted. But everything else that you like, you don't know how to make that, you don't know what your parents are going to think of you, all of these considerations, that's basically based on fears. The only real excuse for not following your heart would be if you already have children and are taking care of them. And yeah, so even taking care of like elderly parents is not an excuse for not following your heart, because frankly, we got to put the responsibility back to where it is. If there's a reason why you get sick in your old age, it's because of years and decades of negligence. So like, you can't put this responsibility to your children and tell them, well, I'm gonna go follow my heart, see ya, but you can't tell that to your parents. And yeah, so you're in no obligation to attend to your sick parents when that has been a personal responsibility not taken during the decades of their lives in the past. And so there are some elderly people who are in good health, and if you're not, it's likely your fault. Like, let's face it, right? Now, sometimes there are unfortunate situations that happen, and obviously it's great to be benevolent and to take care of people who need help. But you shouldn't be sacrificing your own life, because then you're just basically going to attend to them, to your elderly parents, until they die, and you will also die because of that. Because at some point you're going to manifest the same kind of conditioning, the same kind of position, and you're going to be putting the same kind of struggle on your children, because you're swallowing your emotions and your dreams, what you want to do. You teach your children a fearful way of living life that is too out there and too extreme, and that you got to be fearful of living the life of your dreams and following your heart, which is teaching them bad examples, right? And so the only real caveat to that can be, when you already have children, then you want to find a way how you can still live the life of your dreams. But everything else is no objection, because it will have repercussions for you. It will come and bite you. You will get, emotional imbalances, and then your relationships won't work out, and the relationship with yourself will not work out, and you won't have the energy that you would have if you exerted all of your resources by following your heart, and then you will be too tired to take care of your health, and then you're going to feel bad about it, then you're going to keep eating bad foods and all of that, and all of that will at some point lead to a catastrophic situation where you may even die from that, from not following your heart. It is that severe. It might not be immediate, but after 30, 35, 40 years, who knows what happens if you don't live life the right way. And the right way is for you. I'm not telling you what to do. You can do whatever you like. I'm just saying, if you have a dream and you want to follow your heart, but you don't, then you got to live with the repercussions of the actions not taken, right? And so finding the core wound and the regret that will eat you up in ways that you don't even know yet. And so you can't make it back when you're like 45 and you say, it's like, I wish I've utilized my 20s. Yes, but you didn't. And then you also didn't use the rest of your 40s, right? Which you will be so glad that you did by the time you're 70. And by the time you're 70, you maybe still have another 15 years. How long is that? Can you imagine a toddler growing up until 15 years old? That is a lot of time. So if you have another 15 years between 70 and 85 to enjoy the fruits of your labor that you started at 45, that's great, but like start. And the beautiful thing of that is the more that you live through life, unless you're totally on the road to degeneracy and like drug addiction or any kind of that, you accumulate life lessons. If you are just out there in the workplace and you make and you engage in dating partners and finding and living life, right? Then you will have already accumulated, having had a family or not, right? Dealing with other people, learning all these skills. Then you will have already accumulated. And by the way, video games is also a part of degeneracy that you will probably very much regret later on. Unless you're going to become a pro, and then you're probably going to ask yourself still, is that really what I want to be doing? But if you become a pro, or then that's great. If not, you will very likely regret that, because there's so much how that affects your mind in subtle ways that you don't even know, that you will just realize later on, we're like, I should have spent my time completely differently. And so anyways, anybody has to deal with the repercussions of their actions and not their actions. But here's the interesting thing. A lot of people in personal development, they always say, you got to work hard, you got to be motivated, you got to. It's always a lot of kind of telling type of energy. And as much as that's helpful to some people, it's also, I think the piece that has been missing so far and that I'm looking to bring to the table here as a new, fresh approach to that is to finding out the what ifs. But what if you can't? Like, people know that they should be working hard and that they should, get up early and take a cold shower and eat healthy, do a little bit of journaling and a little bit of meditation, then get right to work and take good rest and have friends and get married instead of sleeping around and, making a vision board and telling yourself the right kind of thoughts, your thoughts and your emotions. It's all very important. Physical exercise, like a lot of people know the path to success, of like a successful life, with which then also comes monetary success, because if people listen to you and people respect you, the basic question to that is always, it's the hardest question to answer, but like the most fundamental one is like, would people want to swap lives with you, or would they not, right? And if they would, then you can sell pretty much anything, right? As long as the product is half decent. If you as the person are in a position where people would want to swap lives with you, then that's a great position of power to be in. Because no matter how much money somebody has, we all have certain dreams inside of ourselves. And if we don't live the life of our dreams, then we keep guessing until the end of our lives what would have been. And as I said, you got to deal with the repercussions of that, and they're not pretty. And so, let's follow our heart. And so what is getting in the way, right? Oftentimes people have certain core wounds that are getting in the way, and that is part of everybody's way. So life assigns to each of us certain challenges. I always, in my own life, I'm thinking, it's like, man, how much would love to be like a strong, tall, well-built guy, right? Like 6'5". That would be very nice, right? Have like this genetics of like just generally, but I'm not, and I'm also not that short. So it's like, okay. And I also realized that people who have that, they have other challenges that they are being given to overcome for them, in the same way as I have been given challenges by life to overcome and to grow from and to learn from and to look at and to work through, because this will be energetically transforming for me. And so whomever you envy, they all have their package, and so you have yours. And so the question for that, and by the way, oftentimes people who have that very physical dominance to them oftentimes lack motivation and self-control, because it is very easy to get a partner of the opposite sex, and it is oftentimes very hard to then restrain yourself. Oftentimes then laziness or kind of indulgence come in, and these are the things that people who have been given things on the genetic level, on the physical level, oftentimes deal with, right? On the other hand, people who are generally of a meek stature and have oftentimes been given intelligence on that, where you definitely will, and so the question then, obviously this is like a very black and white kind of example right now. I'm not saying people who are physically capable don't have the intelligence, but as a tendency, it can be said that whatever your strength is, you want to double down on, and you want to find a way to maximize that and utilize that properly, and also have the perspective to realize that everybody else who you envy, who has already something that you perceive that you don't, they also have their package, and they also have something that they need to overcome. And so all I'm saying here is focus on what you need to overcome, what we need to overcome, right? And for me personally, that certainly has been sexual discipline, that and validation, recognition, right? These have been the things that for me I had to overcome. Entitlement too, right? I was given a lot, and I knew I had a certain kind of work ethic, but lack of courage also had been something that I definitely did have to overcome. I thought it would just be so easy, but it really is like, are you willing to give up your life for this path, right? That's the most extreme. And also this kind of up and down of seeing things so black and white, of like either I don't work at all, I do everything perfectly, or either I'm totally like, sacrificing my life for the good of the whole, changing the world, or I might as well just shoot myself, right? This kind of up and down, this kind of thinking in extremes, that's something that I definitely needed to overcome, and I'm working on it as I go. And that's the beautiful thing of it, right? For all of these things that you've overcome, they'll never leave you. There'll always be remnants of the memories, which is great, which reminds you of the things that you have overcome in your life and why you have overcome them. So finding the core wound. And so how does this core wound come about, right? So all of us, we grew up and we were given love and attention and affection for free because we needed it as a child. And then there was this crucial inflection point of the love falling away as our parents sensed that now is a good time to teach the child the rules of the family and the rules of society, sensing that the mental capacities of the child have been developed to the point where they would now comprehend. For us, although, this was experienced as a very traumatic situation because we felt now the love is falling away, right? And now there were certain conditions placed upon our receiving love. And so whatever was then incentivized, what's the word? Yes, so whatever was then incentivized, I'm blanking on the word. Whatever was incentivized, this is what we then see as the entryway towards the love that we actually want so much, right? So whatever that was. And so for me personally, there was like recognition and validation, definitely. For other people, it can be different things. So we want to find out what the core wound is that we feel that we are so starved of that bridges our actions, the rewards for that, and then the love received. Natural healing. And so yeah, that's also part of my path, as we're talking about natural healing. life has many years and it's meant to be so, and it's not all needs to be knocked out in just a few months. And so life has many years and it's meant to be so, and it takes some decades to go forward. And that's why natural healing, we eventually want to get to the point where we are not pushing very much. We're not trying very hard. Yes, you can push every day and leave everything on the field, but you also want to have balance. So with every push, there comes a relaxation time. So we want to find the way between the push and the relaxation time, the recovery time, to be able to live in balance and in healing. So understanding happiness, joy, contentment, and fulfillment. So joy is basically coming from external triggers, material experiences, sensual pleasures, achievements, and validation requires action to external things. And it is depending on circumstances and the fear of loss. So joy basically is an emotion, right? It is an emotional spike that we get from experiences that are experienced, pleasurable, and the reason why we experience those experiences pleasurable is because they got incentivized, rewarded. I'm still blanking on the word, but these are two good synonyms. Incentivized and rewarded for us being the entryway, kind of the gateway, so to speak, the predecessor, the entryway towards the love that we want to receive. Contentment on the other side is permanent. It's an inner state that is always there. It is just being overshadowed by other things. So in the absence of everything that triggers a negative state is contentment being found. Contentment with who we are and everything that's right. And that's why this psychological work comes in, where we're basically unhooking all of these little triggers. It's like, for most people, it starts in the morning. They get up and they look in the mirror and the day always starts the same way and they fucking hate themselves, like I used to, right? You look at your body and you're like, man, I'm still not good enough. What the fuck? And all of the things that I have to do today is like, man, and now I gotta cook some breakfast and I actually don't want to because I'm meant to be somebody else. And like, this is, so when we unhook these triggers and we bring them into peace, then contentment is really found. Contentment with this inner state. And oftentimes it is the discontentment with the requirements for us to have gotten the love in our childhood, right? So when I, for example, have looked at my body back then and I said, I'm too skinny, not muscular enough, will never get a woman of my dreams, meaning will never get the validation that I really wanted from the woman and the physical connection to be able to rest and to be able to work continuously, which I wasn't able before without a woman. So that this is basically getting in the way of all of the prerequisites for love, right? Which is what we're all after. At least this is the most, the deepest and the purest desire that we still have a remnant of. Now in adult life, we can learn to generate love from within, certainly. But back then, we weren't able. And so we still learned that. And so so that's the difference between joy and contentment. Joy is temporary and contentment is permanent. And so when both of them come together, fulfillment really is found, where we give ourselves experiences that are joyous to us, but we also find the contentment. So we're not only looking to the doing to feel good, to feel joyous, but we're also having the contentment as the default state behind that we can access when everything else drops away. This natural peace of everything is okay the way that it is and I am okay the way that I am, right? Can you really say that, right? Can you really when you rest look at that and say, it's like, everything is okay the way that it is. I might not be fully there, but I'm on my path, and everything that is happening in the world, there's a reason for that I will later understand. Now it is a practice of faith and accepting everything the way that it is. And I am currently safe. There's no sword in my throat. It's all good. But to get there is a different thing. And also to give yourself the time and to build yourself a life where you do have the time and the restfulness. This is very important. And so yes, self-knowledge and inner child work, breaking the identification with the conditioning. The purpose of self-knowledge is to understand the personal conditioning, to break identification with behaviors, with emotions and thoughts rooted in childhood patterns. So there's inner child work. The parental expectations become how I want to be. Parental rejections become how I don't want to be. And patterns serve childhood survival needs. This is very important. So how we wanted to be for our parents eventually becomes a how I must be or how I should be. And parental rejection, how we never must be for our parents, and that does not always come through actively being rejected, but can also come through things that they just let slip by, in the sense of like you understand through the conversation, through like looks and subtle energetic exchanges, how things are being approved of and what things are being disapproved of, right? And so what are the things and the beliefs that the parents utter, and so also requirements for, anyway, so that goes too deep. Triggers as mirrors. There are mirror laws in life, right? And oftentimes what we always see ourselves in others. We don't see the world when we look at the world, we see ourselves in the world that is being mirrored. So we always see our inside, right? Because it needs something energetically matching with what we're looking at for us to be able to receive that, to be able to perceive that in the first place. And so when patterns and habits, exactly. All right, so let's wrap up this slide and then finish out the video here. All right. And so in terms of mirrors, we always see ourselves in the world, we don't see the world itself. Mirrors are being given to us, lessons are being given to us by life.